AI is not going to take your job by itself. People with AI will replace you.
Biggest obstacles leaders face are not technological, they are internal.
It basically shook me to the core, and started feeling so insecure. My discovery was it has to be the right brain. My biggest challenge was the fear, the greed, the ego.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Redesign Your Life Today, the podcast where transformation begins with a new way of thinking, a new level of awareness, and the courage to challenge the patterns that keep us stuck. And today, I've got the privilege and the honor to have a very special guest with us. This is Asim Kumar. Asim is a globally recognized solution architect, cybersecurity expert, and author of Unblocked, The Power of Real Intelligence in the Era of AI. After spending 30 days solving complex technology problems for global enterprises, Asim discovered that the biggest obstacles leaders face are not technological, they are internal. Today, he helps leaders move from fear-based decision-making to clarity, discipline, and what he calls real intelligence. So, Asim, a warm welcome to the show. And this was a brief introduction, but the first question is, who is Asim and why is he doing what he's doing today?
First of all, thank you, Daniel, for having me on your show. And from the heart, I'm very thankful. I was fascinated to see what you're doing. And I said, this would be the best conversation I think I would have to start the year this year,
Well,
2026. Um, so, your question on who is a scene, I'll get to the meaning of it in a bit.
mhm,
First of all, you've covered pretty much the basis. I've been a veteran solution architect. My background has been in network technology and security consulting for Fortune 500 large enterprises mainly and the government services.
mhm,
And now I basically, after I wrote the book, I'll get to that as well, why I wrote the book, is to get to a broader community on a global level so I can share my message, my story that I've been hiding pretty much for last 20 years. So the funny part was when I first announced my book and shared with my friends of 30 some years, they said, "See, this is the scene we don't know about." So, and we know more about you reading the book than we knew personally for 30 years. so, so part of that story was I've been a very highly technical person from the beginning, getting the best certifications out there in my field of networking and security. If you
mhm.
look at my bio, you can see all those acronyms: CCIE, CCSP, CISSP, PMP, double masters, and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But that's just like a blanket for me right now. Um, what happened was I've seen the market over 32 years, starting with the big one, the dot-com bust in 2002, followed by 2008, the financial crisis, and then we had the COVID that it was pretty much widely affecting everybody. And now, as of last year, we started seeing this AI scare coming in. We are losing jobs again. I have very close friends in my neighborhood. They've been laid off, and this is again up and close and personal for me. That's when I took the decision. I said, okay, I'm going to finish the book that I started around COVID time and that I never finished. So that's the book Unblocked. And the story is my unblocking. And then uh, with the hope that it will help others like me uh, around the globe, not just within US or India or close by places. I wanted to spread the word across the globe and see who can resonate with my story. So 2002 was the time where I was standing on the fork of a road where I was very highly credentialed, getting paid big bucks. along with my friends with the similar credentials. Life was great. And then the dot com bust happened, and I saw layoffs coming left and right to the best of the best people. I wasn't touched uh, during the layoff, but I was touched here and here.
Mm-hmm.
It basically shook me to the core, and started feeling so insecure. I said, what are these degrees and credentials for when there is no job security? Anybody can get laid off. So I started looking for greener pastures elsewhere, which will be financial markets. So I got trained in all the stock trading, futures trading, options trading, you name it. And my thesis at that time was, I'm very intelligent. I can configure the complex networks, figure out toughest problems. Stock chart and technical analysis will be a piece of cake.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 years later, I haven't still figured that out. Like, okay, why? Why I could not repeat the same success using my left brain, the logical brain.
Mm-hmm.
So my discovery was it has to be the right brain,
Mm-hmm.
the emotions. So my biggest challenge was the fear, the greed, the ego, which I did not know these gremlins were within me. So the financial markets kind of excavated them out of me, and I started looking things differently. And that's where the financial market crash came down. I went through that. That was a lesson learned. And now, uh, after COVID, which not many people could do anything about it, but as of last year, like I said, during this new hype on AI, what havoc it's going to do, people are fearful again. Same place I was back in 2002, right? So I said, okay, now I need to do something about this. And I could not take this disconnect between business and technology. Like, there is no reason. Even the like people, you have heard the saying, right? This time is different.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be different. So I want to do my part. I've come out of the age now where if I didn't do it now, then when? So I took a chance and I said, okay, without telling anybody, I just published this book. I got the raw first copy on Christmas Eve last year, put it in a bag for my family to open it on Christmas morning. so so when the gift opening came started, so they opened the book. They said, a book? And then read my name. Dad, you read a book? so that's how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, that was me coming out of my shell, basically. So that's my story. And the unblocked is basically the core message I try to put in is being a solution architect to other folks who are in the place of insecurity, that you are the solution architect of your life. You take the matter in your own hands and you can do it with the real intelligence, combination of your logical intelligence. So I tell people AI is not going to take your job by itself. People with AI will replace you. So you get on the bandwagon, try to adapt yourself, rethink work, um, and you can get unlimited success. So the way I use unlimited is because that's the meaning of my name. What is Asim? Asim means unlimited. So now I was connecting the dot for you from unblocked to unlimited. That's what my goal is, to spread to the world. And that's why I'm here talking to you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing this story. It's such a beautiful story, and so you defined really like what real intelligence is. You said, okay, I've got all this logic and wisdom, perhaps on the left part of my brain, and on the right part, this is different. This is about clarity. Perhaps it's about purpose. And Asim, what is for you the importance of being fully authentic, fully yourself?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been hiding, and I left. I was leading a dual life, right? So I had a life with my friends that was, yeah, having weekend parties, weekend enjoyment, hee hee ha ha, right? And then there was this work life where I was trying to balance the technology and the finance field, and then I was doing well in one and then not so well on the other. So I was feeling hurt within the core, and then I was not able to show the reality. So I take this book as my launching pad. Say, this is what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I really do not have like a really adverse story, but what it hurts is I what I thought initially that intelligence from a logical standpoint can translate anywhere else, but there is a big difference. So that's where I am bringing up out, showing as a showcase myself.
Mm-hmm.
From the looks of me, people think, oh, multiple degrees, multiple certificate, you are something. Then I tell them, well, that's one side of it. There is other side of it where I really discovered or rediscovered my internal workings. And that's where I came up with, from a coaching standpoint, I had other learnings that I had to do regarding energy management, being
Mm-hmm.
patient, being disciplined, and being focused. So those are the four pillars as a foundation of anybody who wants to uh, get rid of their insecurities. So that's what I tell them, that because that helped me um, as a foundational uh, pillars. So in my book, even from a business enterprise perspective,
Mm-hmm.
what I tell them, yeah, in this technology world, people focus on let's get this new tech out there because the competition is doing this, so we must do this. Uh, my very first chapter in the book is about three pillars: people, process, and technology.
Mm-hmm.
People, process, and technology, not just technology. So, look at as a three-legged stool, right? One of the legs is not paid attention, the stool will topple. That's what I tell them. It's not just one piece you need to work on. And I would suggest now, knowing what I know now, people are your greatest assets. And that's where um, the real intelligence lies. Tech is just an amplifier. People are the ones who provide you the context, the judgment, the empathy, the ethics, you name it.
Well, thank you very much for sharing this wisdom, Asim. And I have to say it resonates with me because you see, I've run companies. I was in international sales before becoming a mental fitness coach. And what you said, I mean, first people. I mean, if you strip the company of people, you've got nothing left because so it's the base. And how is it important as well? I mean, for instance, to in leadership to lead people in a to motivate people to really feel people valued. What's your take on that, Asim?
Well, that is the ultimate thing, is the value. So when you look at an enterprise, like they go for the profit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, it sounds like you're very selfish, right? In my book, I have a whole chapter with the. So just to give you clarification, all my chapters in my book, the titles are acronyms. So profit also is a acronym. So
Okay.
so 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 profit is treated as a fuel for the enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the leadership lesson. It's nothing to be ashamed of, because profit is meant to be like an oxygen for the business. If you don't have profit, you cannot run the business longer term. So the frame I do is profit is for your company values and sustainability of the
Okay.
business. So that's where the leadership needs to look at, not just P&L, right? Uh, P is in positioning, R is revolutionized revenue,
Mm-hmm.
and O is the operational overhead, where they can cut the fat, not the muscle. So people are the muscle, fat
Mm-hmm.
is the waste. So those are the topics that I talk about, like letter by letter. using the word profit in there. And I is the innovation and the T is the transformation for the business. So from that, for that question, I thought that chapter would made more sense. So I elaborated on that, not to do a sales pitch on my book, but this is the message I'm sharing.
Well, thank you so much. And you see, the last letter is T for transformation, which is all about, you see,
Yep.
this is, as I was telling you, this is the reason what I'm doing this podcast as well, to show people that transformation is possible at any moment in your life. And when you speak about acronyms, I think you developed the easier methodology. And I would like you to walk us through because I thought it was a very interesting concept.
Yes. So this is again, it might look new in the book, but this easier came in when the cloud technology was coming and people were like, oh yeah, the instead of AI, cloud was the hype, right? So I came up with easier cloud. So easier is again an acronym where E is the elasticity and A is the agility,
Mhm.
right? S is the security, I is the intelligence, right? And E, the second E is the economical, and the R is the risk reducer. So these are all the elements you need in any venture, right? Like from a business standpoint, like we are done with the days like you have to buy 100 servers. We need to be elastic. The day I need 10, I can use 10. When I need 100, I can expand it to 100. So that's the elasticity. I'm just giving you an example.
Mhm.
So you don't have to have a fixed cost to your business. Agility is the how you fast you move, the velocity of the business. This day and age, you can see you are getting AI agents every day. The versions on the GPTs are increasing every week. So that's the agility part. And security by default, like what I preach, being a security consultant as well, it needs to be built within the organization in the DNA, not laid up like a whipping cream on top of your cake. So, and the intelligence is the intelligence, real intelligence, right? It needs to be intelligent. That's where, in the AI terms, that I is people, the human part, the real intelligence plus AI. RI plus AI makes success. So that's the I in that easier methodology. And economical, of course, is the like, yep, the best value. So you need to look at the total economic impact of whatever solution you're coming up with. And then risk reducer is more on the trust side. Now we talk about zero trust and all those fundamentals. So that's where if how do I reduce risk? So you even at a personal level, from a like I come from the financial markets, risk
Mhm.
management is the core that I learned. When I was starting out, it was more towards what's risk. I can risk more, but now I've learned through the hard way that is core and it works in any business. So I have that. So that's the easier. And when I mentioned cloud, right, the cloud is also an acronym, CLOUD. It's
Mhm.
not that cloud that where we put our information today or when the rain comes from. It's consumer leverage over usage demand. So that's the cloud. So that is
Okay.
your subscription model. uh, if Monday I want 10 servers, I pay for 10 servers. Friday I don't want any, so I shut them down. I don't pay for it. It's pay per use, right? So that's consumer leverage over usage demand. That's your cloud.
Wow. Oh,
Easier cloud. That's where it actually originated. My like back in 2020 when I came up with that easier cloud model.
okay. Well, thank you for this. And you mentioned intelligence, and it's a very interesting concept because for many decades, people were talking about IQ, which really what was in your brain and how clever the maths and all that. But over the last 10 or more years, people really speak more and more about emotional intelligence. So, what is your take on this, Asim, in terms of the importance of EQ?
Well, so I mentioned EPDF, right? So that's the evolution of my emotional intelligence from being a CCI, CSSP, and all those great technical credentials where the IQ mattered.
Hmm.
And then when you step into the leadership, and then especially in the consulting arena where you're working with people directly, that's where the EQ comes in. And for EQ to develop, what I learned personally was there is another term for it, metacognition, right? Self-awareness,
Yes, that's the
right?
one.
So self-awareness was the first step where I started questioning myself. I work great here, but I'm kind of failing here. Why? So that got me into thinking. I looked into meditation, yoga nidra, all those other occult sciences. I did some study on that. Why is it happening to me? I could not figure it out. And that's where I came up with energy management. I was low in confidence, low energy. I used to basically mumble most of the time, and only time I was doing when on a weekend where my other friends were nothing to do with work, but only fun part. So that's where the energy came out. So I started connecting the dot. The energy management was first like breathing techniques and awareness, self awareness. That's where it started coming on. What I really needed to do. What were my gremlins? Patience, impatience was my gremlin. Like in tech, we want to get it done fast, fast, fast. In financial markets, there is a saying: the impatient pays to the patient. so,
Yes, yes, I've heard that.
so,
Yes. Uh-huh.
so that was the mantra. That's where I learned. It came the hard way again. And discipline is the process uh, to follow through the process that you have put in place. It was not kind of as threatening in the technology works because a network might work today, but we can figure it out. There might not be, but in financial terms, on the financial market, within seconds, lot could be lost and gained. And then focus is again an acronym. There's a whole chapter on my book: finding opportunities, creating unlimited success. This is the execution piece. So what I tell people, uh, you need to upskill, right?
Hmm.
So that is part of the work part, but focus is where you cannot chop wood with a uh, what you call that, a blunt axe. You need to sharpen your skills. Your skills are your axe. You need to sharpen your skills. So that's where the focus comes in. You can't be doing like 20 different things. That's something I learned the hard way. Like in tech, multitasking does work, but to translate that success in trading and financial markets, you need to have a better focus. And that's where I kind of relate to that. And I turned it into finding opportunities with a sharp edge and create unlimited success on that. So that's
Wow.
emotional intelligence for me.
It's this is so fascinating, and it's I think obviously when you talk about financial markets, my expertise is more limited, but I know that people talk about risk reward, the ratio, when you do trading, and I think what talk as well now about it's having putting in place a strategy and sticking to the strategy. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. So let's put that strategy is your technical side. Okay.
Hmm.
That right. And then sticking to the strategy is the discipline, the process,
Yes.
right? And the people is you as a trader or the risk manager. So see how I tied it in: people, process, and technology. Strategy is your technology, the tools that you use for trading, and then process is whatever you have to do, like a ritual or a routine in order to execute that strategy. And as a person, it comes down to you, the executioner, where your EQ comes in, your IQ comes in, and the combination makes it happen. So you need to work on the self, people first in this regard, whether it's an enterprise or you as an individual. You need to work on the people part first. So
Wow. You see, again, it's about looking, I mean, as you said, looking inside as well. And I think, I don't know if you mentioned this in your book about the regulation of your nervous system, meaning really managing our emotions. And you mentioned about yoga, you mentioned about breath work. Do you have like routines, Asim, that you developed, could be morning routines, other routines which helped you with this calmness which you have now.
Definitely, because without that, this book would not have been done, or I would not be talking to you. I will be in the same old Asim, right? Uh, Going through life, right? So that's what I came up with when we do this EPDF.
Mhm.
Personally, I had to talk to myself about rituals or routine, um, to form some good habits. So it came down to the habits, right? There are certain habits you keep repeating, and that takes you nowhere. So you had to discover those, what those are, and then come up with some small, simple to do, what fits for you. If
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you to, oh, you need to wake up at 5 a.m., that's not going to work. You need to find your time that works for you. But the idea is you need to have some rituals that you can stay focused on and do them as a disciplined person. So that those are the disciplinary items. What is your discipline? So yeah, there are a lot of changes that I had to do over the years. I became a vegetarian. Um, I did start doing some work. Yes, I'm not a heavy trainer myself, but I figured it out what works for me.
Mhm.
Uh, I've gotten up at 3 o'clock. I've gotten up at 4 o'clock. So I've discovered what works for me that takes me carry out on my day, and that's something I can be consistent on, right? Especially in the financial markets, that's the lesson I learned. How do you become consistent? Like I was consistently growing on my tech side, but not so consistent on the financial side. So that was another word I came in. Find a thing that you can be consistent on, and then move on to any other thing. And that's where you form those habits, nail them, and
Mhm.
then they become second nature to you. Then you will be not thinking. Like breathing was one of the things, right? So um, what I learned, I knew about diaphragmatic breathing, for example, but it needs to be second nature when you are speaking, right? Especially knowing one thing and then doing consistently a second nature, it takes practice. So that, and then for that practice, we means you need those routines, you need those reps. And again, it has to be individual. If somebody tells you, you might not, you say, this is not mine. You need to internalize it. A coach can tell you, but you need to internalize it and customize to your fitting.
Exactly. Yeah. I have to say, I fully resonate with this because and I've been on a kind of spiritual journey over the last few years, and I've got as well some of these routines which you mentioned, but it can be as well about journaling. It can be about practicing gratitude. For me, it's very, very important. I mean, to ground myself, and because it's when we imagine emotions. I mean, when we do work on ourselves, when we spend some time meditating, for instance, again, it's not valid for everyone, everybody, but then this is where, and when you said when you repeat these habits, I mean, there's this notion of neural pathways that the first it takes change to replace a habit which is not serving us. But the more we do it, people say 21 days, 30 days, but then all of a sudden, as you said, it becomes second nature. And because we are so much grounded, the actually the outside world is a reflection of who we are internally.
Absolutely.
Does this resonate with you? So I mean, it's absolutely fascinating listening to your to your story. So, for instance, when some professionals become are blocked, you can see but they cannot articulate why. What do you think are the most common mental blocks that they face? What have you seen in high performance leaders?
Well, I'll speak for myself here, and
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
sure there will be millions who will resonate
Uh-huh.
uh, with high performers. This imposter syndrome. I'm
Yes.
sure you have heard it.
Well, of course, of course.
That always exists. That creeps in. The self doubt creeps in, like one little failure, because your ego is right there.
Mhm.
One less figure. will make you insecure. It has happened to me.
Mhm.
Uh, so those are your internal gremlins that you don't see, especially the go-getters ones. They want to move fast, and anything that slows them down, it's an ego hit on them.
Mhm.
So for me, that was the biggest shift, is that the ego go right. So uh, I could not come up with any better gremlin than ego. So I practice myself to be, like a mantra, to be calm and relaxed,
Mhm.
so that the ego is in check. That goes back to the self-awareness piece. Like, uh, people will get angry, people will be fearful, acknowledge them, and then let them go. That takes practice. It's easy said than done, uh, but that will be a start. At least acknowledge that, yeah, I want some improvement, and start asking this question, why me? Right. That's really when it starts hurting, right, your ego. That's when you know, uh, there's something needs to be done, because it's basically pain and pleasure. When the pain level is high, you
Mhm.
start reacting, right.
Yes,
That's
yes.
my book is about, is to stop the fear-based decision making, and then build the future from there on. And how do you stop the fear-based decision making? To acknowledge the fear first.
E- Exactly. To face the fear, because the our biggest growth is just on the other side of our fear. So, and fear we all have. You see, you mentioned before imposter syndrome. Everybody has it, a way or another. It's just
Some
that,
form of it.
yeah, but you see, again, it depends, because it's due to, oh, insecurity. Oh, we are going to do something we've never done. Who am I to do that? But you see, when you realize that it's a process, and as a coach, as you know, I'm a mental fitness coach, so I help people as well in this area. And it's when you realize that when you take steps, and what you mentioned before resonates so much with me, you take action, you take the little steps, and then this is by doing that you get the clarity, you get the confidence, and
Yep.
then you move in this much calmer space in your head.
So on that, I'll give you another example. What I did, right after I finished the book, and I
Mhm.
was waiting for my author's copy to come for my proof,
Mhm.
I started doing something that I've never done before. Is Like I mentioned, I'm a network engineer, security consultant, but
Mhm.
I'm not a programmer.
Mhm.
I did not like programming when I was doing computer science. That's how I switched into networking back in the days. And I built my career in networking space without having to do sitting on the couch and do programming. Now with the AI, the way it's going, uh, people are fearful. Oh, I'll lose my job, this and that, right?
Mhm.
So I took the project, I took the book, I said, I'm going to create a coaching app. So I built using vibe coding. I researched what are the tools and platforms available that I can take my coaching methodology that I've written in the book, and then have a coaching application built out of that, being a non-programmer. I did it in 1 week. After I selected, went through a couple of tools,
Mhm.
when I finalized, this is the tool that talks to me, resonates with me, I built that application in 1 week, ready to go production.
Well, and you see, for everybody listening to Asim now, this is so powerful. It means we have in ourselves the resources. It's just that we need to give it a go, and nothing. And when we do, all of a sudden things come there. So, my last question would be, and perhaps you reply to that, if somebody today feels stuck, overwhelmed, what is the first step they can do to move forward more clarity and focus?
Breathe. That's
Sorry?
why they need to breathe.
Breathe. Well, you see, I think this is.
Because breathing is the fundamental thing. And if you start breathing, because the nervousness comes from when you're breathing from the chest, like your brain is not oxygenated. So you need to get calm, uh, take some walks, breathe and think differently. That's the whole idea. Like you can get overwhelmed. You need to feel that pain
Hmm.
when it's like 110 degrees beyond, then
Hmm.
you start taking action. So when you breathe, you can think better, right? So, and that's part of the EPDF. Is E is the first, energy manage your energy first.
Hmm.
Without your health, nothing matters,
Hmm.
really. So why don't you start there? These patience, discipline, and focus can come later, but work on yourself first. See, and you don't have to do a full body workout, right? Start with something small. Breathing, you do it anyways. So why don't you just focus on breathing and then see how calm you feel? Good for your heart. So that's what I tell them, is just breathe uh, with intention. That okay, just monitor your breathing and see where it takes you. It does wonder. It used to sound stupid to me back in the days, but now I'm telling you, there will be people who say, Asim, you're telling me that? So uh, either you take the hard way, you want to spend 20, 30 years learning that, or you can find the wisdom right here.
Well, thank you so much, Asim. It's been really fascinating conversation. Your message is such a powerful reminder that while technology continues to evolve at an incredible speed, our greatest breakthrough still comes from mastering the human mind
Yep.
and our inner
And
clarity.
yeah, thanks for having me, Daniel. And then one thing I would, for your audience sakes, is I mentioned the coaching app. It is on my website. There is a
Okay.
7-day free trial. They can actually, and it is only based on my book, that they can see, ask any question or any problem they have. They will refer back to the book's frameworks and how to think in that direction. So the coaching app is like, how do I rethink something that I was not thinking before? So
Well,
it's coaching.avignallc.com. And if you can just put that in your description, people will have full access to it. So, and they can reach out to me once they are on my website.
so can you repeat the website once again, Asim?
It's coaching dot avigna, Avigna
Yes.
LLC.com.
Okay.
Or they can go to avignallc.com. Then there is a tab for coaching app as well. And then they can read more about me there and get to me on LinkedIn or write me an email, uh, get connected. That's what I'm doing right now. Is there are people out there who have been in my place, and then I if I can help them, guide them anyway, um, beyond these big enterprises. Uh, that's what I'm starting to do.
Well, thank you so much again for sharing your wisdom. And for everybody listening here, just make sure you connect with Asim, you read his book, because there's so much there. We just scratched the surface there. But so please do that. And I'm asking everybody a favor. If you like this conversation, this wisdom, please share it with your friends, with your family, with other people who are going to learn from that, because there's a life of, how do you say, learning, which goes behind that. So thank you everybody for being with us, and I will see you at the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.